The council chamber floated in the void between stars, a massive structure built by dozens of alien races over thousands of years. Inside, representatives from across the galaxy gathered to discuss a problem that annoyed them more each day. The problem had a name. Humanity. Kyung-min stood alone in the center of the circular room. Above her, hundreds of alien beings watched from their elevated platforms. Some had multiple eyes, others had no eyes at all. Some breathed methane, others survived in vacuum. But they all shared one thing in common. They looked at her with disgust. "The humans must withdraw from the disputed sectors," announced the Volcari representative. His voice echoed through the chamber with mechanical coldness. "You have spread too far, too fast. The council has decided your species lacks the maturity to colonize beyond your home system." Kyung-min kept her face calm, though anger burned inside her chest. She had prepared for this moment for months. Humanity has settled only in unclaimed space. We followed every galactic law. We paid every fee. We respected every boundary. Now you tell us we cannot keep our own homes? Laughter rippled through the chamber. Not friendly laughter. The kind that made clear how little they thought of her words. "Your species discovered faster than light travel only 40 years ago," another alien said. This one looked like a floating jellyfish filled with glowing lights. "We have traveled the stars for millennia. Do not speak to us about rights and laws. We make the laws. You will obey them or face consequences." "What consequences?" Kyung-min asked. She already knew the answer, but she wanted them to say it. She wanted it recorded for everyone back on Earth to hear. The Volcari representative leaned forward. "Extermination. Complete and total. We will erase your colonies. We will push your kind back to your little blue planet. And if you resist, we will turn Earth itself into a graveyard." The chamber fell silent. Kyung-min felt her heart pounding. She thought about her daughter back home, about the children playing in parks on Mars, about the farmers growing crops on Proxima Centauri. All of them were in danger because these ancient races viewed humans as insects to be stepped on. "I will deliver your message to my government," she said quietly. "But know this. Humanity has faced extinction before. We survived ice ages. We survived plagues. We survived wars that burned entire continents. We are still here, and we will not go quietly into the darkness you offer us." More laughter. Louder this time. The Volcari representative waved a clawed hand in dismissal. "You have 7 days to begin evacuations. If a single human remains in the disputed sectors after that time, we will consider it an act of war." Kyung-min turned and walked out of the chamber. Her legs wanted to shake, but she forced them to remain steady. She would not give them the satisfaction of seeing her fear. 3 days later, Captain Daeho sat in the command chair of the ESS Indomitable, humanity's largest warship. It looked tiny compared to the alien vessels he had seen in surveillance photos. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with practiced efficiency. The bridge hummed with quiet activity. "Status report," Daeho said. Lieutenant Hana looked up from her console. "All civilian transports have cleared the outer colonies. We evacuated everyone from Proxima, Tau Ceti, and Barnard Star. The colonies are empty now. Just us and the defense fleet." Daeho nodded slowly. "And our fleet strength?" 42 ships. 20 destroyers, 15 frigates, 7 cruisers. Plus the Indomitable. Hana paused. "Sir, intelligence reports the Volcari are sending their first assault fleet. Over 2,000 vessels. They have more ships than we have missiles." "I know the numbers, Lieutenant." Daeho stared at the screen showing the empty colony below. Streets where children had played yesterday now stood silent. "Command wants us to fight a delaying action. Make them work for every inch of space. Buy time for the core worlds to prepare. Hannah frowned. Sir, permission to speak freely? Always. Why are we retreating? Our ships are more advanced than theirs. Our weapons hit harder. Our shields last longer. Yes, they have numbers, but quality must count for something. Deho smiled sadly. You are young, Hannah. You have not seen what numbers can do. 50 ships attacking one ship at the same time will win, no matter how good the one ship is. We are good, but we are not good enough to face those odds. Not yet. The communication system beeped. A message came through from Fleet Command. Deho read it quickly, and his expression changed from sad to something harder. Something dangerous. New orders, he announced. We are not retreating. We are repositioning. Command has authorized Protocol Mongoose. Hannah's eyes went wide. The guerrilla warfare protocols? Sir, those were designed as a last resort. This is a last resort, Lieutenant. The Valkyrie think this will be easy. They think we will run or beg for mercy. We are going to teach them that humans are very good at two things: adapting and surviving, often at the same time. One day later, the Valkyrie First Assault Fleet entered the Proxima system. Commander Thelver stood on his flagship's bridge, mandibles clicking with satisfaction. His sensors showed abandoned human colonies, empty space stations. Not a single enemy ship in sight. They ran away, his second officer said with amusement. The mighty humans could not even stay to defend their homes. Thelver was not so certain. Something felt wrong. The humans had fought smaller skirmishes before, always with cunning and determination. This complete abandonment did not match their behavior patterns. Spread the fleet out, he ordered. Search every planet, every moon, every asteroid. Find where they are hiding. The Valkyrie ships spread across the system like a net. They moved confidently, certain of their superiority. They had conquered 17 species before. Humanity would be the 18th. They did not notice the small objects drifting among the asteroids. They did not detect the passive sensors watching their every move. They did not understand that they had just walked into a trap designed by a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing each other in the darkness between worlds. Captain Deho watched the enemy fleet scatter across his screens. He smiled without humor. Weapons free, he said quietly. Show them what humanity learned in our world wars. Show them what happens when you threaten our children. The hunt was about to begin. The Valkyrie fleet had divided into 12 groups, each hunting through different parts of the Proxima system. Commander Thelver felt pleased with his strategy. With so many ships spread out, the humans could not hide anywhere. His sensors would find them eventually. He was wrong. The first attack came without warning. A Valkyrie cruiser on the edge of the fleet suddenly exploded. Not from a missile or energy beam. It simply came apart as if struck by the hand of an angry god. The debris scattered across space, still glowing from the impact. Report, Thelver shouted. Unknown object struck the 7th Talon at 0.7 light speed, his sensor officer replied, voice shaking. Mass approximately 5 tons. Kinetic impact completely destroyed the vessel. Thelver stared at his screen. A rock? They killed a warship with a rock? Not a rock, Commander. Analysis shows refined metals. They accelerated it to relativistic speeds and aimed it at us. Before Thelver could respond, 3 more ships died the same way. Chunks of metal moving so fast they hit like nuclear weapons. His fleet tried to scatter, but the attacks kept coming from different directions. The humans had seeded the entire system with these weapons, waiting silently in the darkness. Return fire. Find their launch points, Thelver ordered, but there were no launch points. The weapons had been set in motion weeks ago, drifting through space on carefully calculated paths. By the time they hit, there was nothing to shoot back at Dot. Then the real attack began. Captain Deho's destroyers came out of hiding near the system's gas giant. They had been running silent, their heat signatures masked by the planet's radiation. Now they activated their engines and weapons at once, tearing into the scattered Valkyrie formation. The human ships were smaller and fewer, but they moved with perfect coordination. They focused fire on one enemy ship at a time, destroying it completely before moving to the next target. They used the asteroids for cover, appearing and disappearing like ghosts. Lieutenant Hana commanded one of the attack squadrons. Her 3 frigates worked together like dancers, each one knowing exactly where the others would be. They killed a Valkyrie battleship, twice their combined size, by hitting its engines from 3 angles at once. "Break and scatter," she ordered after the kill. Pattern Delta 7. Her ship split apart, dodging the return fire from nearby enemy vessels. One of her frigates took a hit to its shields, but the other 2 were already striking back. They fired missiles that did not simply explode. These missiles released thousands of smaller drones, each one carrying a shaped charge and basic targeting intelligence. The drone swarm covered up Valkyrie destroyer like angry insects. Most were shot down by point defense systems, but dozens got through. They latched onto the hull and detonated simultaneously. The destroyer's armor, designed to resist energy weapons, cracked under the concentrated kinetic force. Atmosphere vented into space. The ship went dark and dead. Delver watched his fleet dying and felt something he had not experienced in decades of warfare: fear. The humans fought unlike any enemy he had faced. They did not charge bravely into battle. They did not challenge his ships to honorable combat. They struck from shadows, used weapons his people considered primitive or dishonorable, and disappeared before his forces could respond. "All ships, form up on my position," he commanded. "Defensive sphere formation. We will make them come to us." It was a good strategy. The Valkyrie ships pulled together, creating overlapping fields of fire. Any human ship that approached would face the combined firepower of hundreds of vessels. Captain Deho smiled when he saw the enemy formation. They just made themselves a single target. "Lieutenant Hana, execute Plan Scorpion." Hana nodded. "All ships, pulse charges ready. Fire on my mark." The human fleet did not approach the Valkyrie sphere. Instead, they released a different weapon. Electromagnetic pulse bombs, the dozens of them, all timed to detonate at once around the enemy formation. The Valkyrie ship's sensors went blind. Their communications failed. Their targeting systems crashed. For 3 minutes, they were deaf, dumb, and blind in the darkness of space. 3 minutes was more than enough. The human ships closed in during the blackout. They fired everything they had: missiles, railgun rounds, laser batteries, plasma torpedoes. The Valkyrie shields held against some attacks, but not all. Not when they could not coordinate their defensive fire. When the Valkyrie systems came back online, 20 more ships were gone. The survivors were scattered and damaged. "Retreat," Delver ordered. "All ships, jump out of system. Now." But jumping required coordinates and calculations that their damaged computers struggled to process. The humans gave them no time. More attacks came, fast and merciless. Private Sung-jae watched the battle from his position on the boarding shuttle. He and 30 other Marines waited in the darkness, watching the fight through their displays. They had a special mission. "Target acquired," the pilot announced. Valkyrie command ship, shields down, engines damaged. Moving to intercept. The shuttle accelerated toward a large alien vessel. It was wounded, but still dangerous, its weapons still firing at human ships. The shuttle had no weapons of its own. It simply slammed into the Valkyrie hull at high speed, using shaped charges to burn through the armor. "Go, go, go!" Sergeant Bun Vor shouted. The Marines poured through the breach. They wore armored suits and carried weapons designed for close combat. The Valkyrie crew inside tried to stop them, but they were not prepared for what came next. Humans fighting hand-to-hand were terrifying. Sunjae moved through the corridors with his squad. A Valkyrie soldier appeared around a corner, mandibles clicking in anger. It was bigger than Sunjae, with 4 arms and natural armor plating. It should have been stronger, but Sunjae had trained in Earth's gravity, which was higher than most alien worlds. His muscles were denser. His bones were harder. He dodged the alien's first strike and drove his combat knife into a joint in its armor. The Valkyrie screamed and fell. The Marines pushed deeper into the ship. The Valkyrie fought hard, but they were not used to enemies that could match them in physical combat. Most species they had conquered were weaker than them. Humans were not. Sergeant Bior reached the bridge first. She kicked open the door and tossed in a stun grenade. When the flash cleared, she and her team stormed in. The Valkyrie officers surrendered rather than face these armored demons. "Ship secure," Bior reported. "We have prisoners and intact computers. Intelligence is going to be very happy." Across the system, the battle ended. The Valkyrie First Assault Fleet jumped away in disorder, leaving behind wreckage and bodies. Of the 2,000 ships that had entered the system, only 800 escaped. None were undamaged. Captain Deho stood on his bridge and watched them go. His own fleet had taken losses. 7 ships destroyed, 12 more too damaged to continue fighting. But they had won. Humanity's first major battle against the Galactic Council, and they had won. "Send a message to all ships," he said. "Well done. But this is only the beginning. They will come back with more. We need to be ready." Lieutenant Hana looked at the tactical display showing the destroyed alien vessels. "Sir, do you think they understand now? Do they understand we are not easy prey?" Deho shook his head. "Not yet. They still think this was luck or a trick. But they will learn. Every species that has tried to exterminate humanity has learned the same lesson. We do not give up. We do not surrender. And we are very, very good at war." In the wreckage field, automated beacons activated on the destroyed Valkyrie ships. They broadcast a simple message in every language the galaxy knew. "You were warned. Leave humanity alone." No one was listening yet. But soon, the entire galaxy would hear. The Galactic Council met in emergency session. The news from Proxima had shocked them all. The Valkyrie, one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy, had been beaten by the primitive humans. Many council members did not believe the reports at first. "Commander Thelver must be lying to cover his incompetence," suggested a representative from the Kurtani species. No new species could defeat the Valkyrie First Assault Fleet. "The evidence is clear," the Valkyrie ambassador replied coldly. "We have sensor logs. We have survivors. The humans used unconventional tactics and weapons we did not anticipate. They are more dangerous than we believed. Then we send more ships," said the Hephrani delegate. 4 of our species will combine fleets. Surely the humans cannot stand against our united strength." The other council members agreed. The Valkyrie, Kurtani, Hephrani, and Dulvex would send a combined fleet of 5,000 vessels. It would be the largest military operation in recent galactic history. The humans would be crushed on Earth. General Jiwoo reviewed the intelligence reports in his underground command center. He was an old man now, with gray hair and tired eyes, but his mind remained sharp. He had spent 40 years in the military, rising through the ranks by being smarter than his enemies. "They are sending everything at us," his aide said nervously. 5,000 ships. "General, we cannot win this." Ji Woo looked at the younger officer. Winning is about more than numbers. It is about understanding your enemy and understanding yourself. What do the aliens know about us? They know we fought well at Proxima, sir. What else? The aide thought for a moment. Not much. They do not study our history. They do not read our books. They think we are primitives who got lucky with some technology. Exactly, Jiwoo said. They do not know that humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. They do not know about our world wars, our tactics, our determination. They think they understand warfare because they have conquered weak species. They have never faced an enemy like us. What are your orders, General? Ji Woo smiled, but it was not a happy smile. We show them what human warfare really means. Contact Dr. Youngsik. Tell him to prepare Project Silent Spring and send orders to Captain Daeho. It is time for Phase 2. Dr. Youngsik worked in a secret laboratory on Mars. He was a microbiologist, one of the best humanity had. When the war started, the government had given him an uncomfortable assignment. Create biological agents that could harm aliens, but not humans. He hated the work. It went against everything he believed as a scientist and a doctor. But he understood the necessity. If humanity was going to be exterminated, morality was a luxury they could not afford. The microbes he created were clever. They were not diseases in the traditional sense. They were modified bacteria that produced chemicals toxic to specific alien biologies. Harmless to humans. Deadly to 3 of the 4 species in the combined fleet. Are you certain they will work? General Giwoo asked during a secure video call. Youngsik nodded slowly. The Kurtani, Efrani, and Dulvex all breathe oxygen-nitrogen atmospheres similar to ours. Their biology is different enough that our normal bacteria do not affect them. But these modified strains will. The symptoms will appear within days of exposure. Fever, organ failure, death, and the Valkyrie? They breathe methane. The bacteria cannot survive in their environment. They will be unaffected. Good. We do not want to kill everyone. Just enough to make them think twice about continuing this war. Deploy the bacteria to our outer colonies. Make it look natural, like we abandoned the settlements because of plague. Youngsik closed his eyes. Sir, I need to know. When this is over, will I be tried as a war criminal? Probably, Jiwoo said honestly. But we will all be alive to put you on trial. That is what matters. The combined fleet arrived at humanity's outer colonies 3 weeks later. They expected fierce resistance. Instead, they found abandoned settlements with all the infrastructure intact. Power plants running. Life support active. Streets empty. It is another trap, the Volcari Admiral warned. Do not let your people go down there. But the other species were greedy. The human colonies were rich with resources and technology. The Kotani, Hefrani, and Dolvak sent troops to occupy the settlements and claim them. Within 2 days, soldiers started getting sick. Captain Daeho watched from a distance as the alien fleet fell into chaos. His spies reported panic among the Kurtani ships as more and more crew members collapsed. The Hefrani tried to quarantine the infected, but it was too late. The bacteria spread through their recycled air systems. They are calling it a plague, Lieutenant Hana reported. They think we abandoned the colonies because we were dying from disease. Let them think that, Daeho said. Deploy the fleet. Hit them while they are weak. The human ships emerged from hiding near the colony of New Seoul. They had been waiting in the shadow of a large moon, engines cold, for weeks. Now they struck like a blade from darkness. The alien fleet was in disarray. 3 of the 4 species were dealing with massive casualties from the bacteria. Their medical bays were full. Their crews were terrified. When the human ships attacked, they could barely organize a defense. Daeho's forces focused on the Dulvex vessels. That species had lost 40% of their crew to the plague. Their ships were undermanned and slow to respond. The human destroyers tore through them like wolves through sheep. Lieutenant Hana led the fighter squadrons. Human pilots flew small, fast ships that the alien point defenses struggled to track. They had learned from studying Earth's history of aerial combat. They used tactics from old wars, adapted for space. That one of Hana's pilots was Tae Yang, a young man from Bizen who had lost his family when the Valkyrie attacked a colony ship. He flew with cold fury, his fighter dancing through enemy fire. "Tae Yang, your shields are down," Hana warned over the radio. "Break off and repair." "Negative," Tae Yang replied. "I have a shot at their flagship." Hana saw what he intended. "No, that is a suicide run. You cannot survive it." "I am not planning to survive it, Lieutenant. Tell my sister I am sorry." Before Hana could order him to stand down, Tae Yang accelerated his damaged fighter toward the massive Kotani flagship. The enemy tried to shoot him down, but he was too fast, too determined. His fighter crashed into the flagship's bridge at full speed. The explosion was visible across the battle space. The flagship lost control and collided with two nearby cruisers. All three ships were destroyed. Hana felt tears on her face, but she did not have time to grieve. All fighters, remember Tae Yang. Make his sacrifice count. Press the attack. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, the combined fleet was broken. The Kotani, Hefrani, and Dulvax had lost over half their ships to disease and combat. The Valkyrie, unaffected by the plague, retreated in good order but refused to continue fighting alone. The survivors jumped away, broadcasting warnings about humanity's plague weapons and death-seeking warriors. Across the galaxy, people heard the reports and felt a new emotion when they thought about humans. Fear. General Ji Woo received the casualty reports in his command center. Humanity had lost 30 ships and over 10,000 personnel. Tae Yang was among the dead. Ji Woo added his name to the memorial wall, next to thousands of others. "They will call us monsters," his aide said quietly. "Using biological weapons, suicide attacks. The galaxy will hate us." "I do not care if they hate us," Ji Woo replied, "as long as they leave us alone. Send a message to all human colonies. Prepare for the next phase. The Council will not stop until we make them understand. We cannot be conquered. We cannot be intimidated. We will fight until they give up or until we are all dead. And if they give up, then we will have peace. A hard peace, bought with blood and terrible choices. But peace nonetheless." Far away, in the Galactic Council chambers, the delegates argued and shouted. Some wanted to continue the war. Others wanted to negotiate. But they all agreed on one thing. Humanity was not what they had thought. These were not primitive creatures to be easily removed. These were survivors, fighters, people who would do anything to protect their own. The question was, what would the Council do about it? The Galactic Council gathered one final time to discuss the human problem. The chamber was quieter than usual. Many seats stood empty, their occupants dead in the war or too afraid to attend. The mood was dark and uncertain. "We cannot continue bleeding ships and personnel," the Hefrani representative said. His species had lost the most to the human plague weapons. "Every fleet we send either dies or returns broken. Perhaps we should consider negotiation." "Negotiation?" The Valkyrie ambassador sounded outraged. "That would make us look weak. Every species in the galaxy will see that the Council can be challenged. Our authority will collapse." "Our authority is already collapsing," another delegate said. 6 of our member species have withdrawn from military cooperation. They fear humanity more than they respect us." The Council fell silent. Finally, the eldest member spoke. She was a Dulvax matriarch, nearly 300 years old, who had seen the rise and fall of empires. "There is one option we have not used," she said slowly. "The Grand Armada." Everyone in the chamber understood what that meant. The Grand Armada was the Council's ultimate weapon. It had not been assembled in over a century. The last time it was used, it had destroyed an entire species that refused to submit to Council rule. The cost would be enormous. Someone protested. "The cost of continuing as we are would be worse," the matriarch replied. "We assemble the Armada. We crush the humans completely. We glass their worlds and scatter their people to the cosmic winds. Then the galaxy will remember that the Council's word is absolute." The vote was close, but the decision was made. Every member species would contribute ships to the Grand Armada. The goal was simple and terrible: complete human extinction. On Earth, Ambassador Kiam Men received word of the Council's decision. She sat in her office and stared at the message for a long time. Then she activated the emergency broadcast system. Her face appeared on screens across every human world. People in homes, factories, farms, and ships all stopped to listen. She looked tired and sad, but her voice was steady. "My friends, my fellow humans, I have failed you," she began. "I tried to find peace with the Galactic Council. I tried to make them see us as people, not problems. But they have chosen the path of extermination. They are assembling a fleet of 1 million ships. They will come to Earth, to Mars, to every colony we have built. They will kill every man, woman, and child they find." Across human space, people felt fear settle into their hearts. But Kiam Men was not finished. However, they have made a mistake. They think this is like wars they have fought before. They think we will gather our ships and fight a big battle, and when we lose, we will surrender. They do not understand us at all. She leaned forward, and her eyes blazed with determination. "Humans do not surrender. We do not give up. We survived ice ages by hunting in the snow. We survived plagues by caring for our sick. We survived wars by never accepting defeat. And we will survive this. General Ji Woo has activated protocol. Scorched Earth. We are evacuating all civilians from every world the enemy can find. We will hide in the darkness between stars. We will fight them at every turn. And if we must burn entire systems to ashes to stop them, we will do that too. This is not a war for territory or resources. This is a war for survival. And humans are very good at surviving." The broadcast ended. Across human space, the greatest evacuation in history began. General Ji Woo coordinated from Earth's command center. Every civilian ship, every transport, every vessel that could carry people was pressed into service. Millions of humans boarded generation ships designed to travel for decades or centuries if necessary. They would hide in unexplored regions of space where the Council would never find them. "How long do we have?" Ji Woo asked. 3 months until the Armada arrives at our outer colonies," his aide replied. 6 months until they reach the core worlds. Then we have 6 months to make them regret this decision. "Colonel Minho, status of the Defense Fleet?" Colonel Minho appeared on the screen. He was aboard the defense station orbiting Mars. "Every ship that can fight is ready, General. We have 400 vessels. Most are small and fast. We cannot stand against 1 million enemy ships in direct combat." "I am not asking you to stand against them," Ji Woo said. "I am asking you to bleed them. Make them work for every inch of space. Kill as many as you can before you die." Minho nodded. He understood he was being given a death sentence. "We will make humanity proud, sir." In the science division, Dr. Jae-hoon worked frantically on humanity's desperate gambit. He was a physicist who specialized in faster-than-light technology. Now he was trying to turn that technology into a weapon. "Explain it to me simply," General Ji Woo said during an inspection visit. Jae-hoon pulled up a holographic display. Our FTL drives work by manipulating spacetime. We create a bubble that lets ships travel faster than light. But if we remove the safety limiters and overload the drive, we can create a massive spacetime disruption. In simple language, Doctor, we can make stars explode, General. Artificial supernova. We can destroy entire solar systems. Ji Woo stared at the physicist. The cost? Everything in the system dies. Planets, moons, asteroids, all of it turns to plasma and radiation. The system becomes uninhabitable for millions of years. Could we do this to our own systems? Use them as traps? Ji-hoon looked sick. Yes, we could evacuate a system, wait for the enemy to enter, then trigger the nova. It would kill billions of aliens. Prepare the weapons, Ji-woo ordered. Target our outer colonies. When the Armada arrives, we will give them a gift they will never forget. 3 months later, the Grand Armada arrived at humanity's outer territories. It was the largest fleet ever assembled. 1 million ships stretched across space like a metal ocean. The commanders were confident. No force in the galaxy could stand against them. They found empty colonies, just like before. But this time, they were cautious. They sent probes first, checking for biological weapons or traps. Captain Daeho watched from the darkness beyond the system. His fleet was tiny compared to the Armada, but he did not plan to fight directly. He planned to run and make them chase him. Admiral, they are entering the Tau Ceti system, Lieutenant Hana reported. Daeho had been promoted after the last battle, and Hana had taken over one of the destroyer squadrons. How many ships? Approximately 100,000. They are being cautious, sending advance forces instead of the whole Armada. Good. Once they are committed to the system, we activate Dr. Jaehoon's surprise. Deep in the Tau Ceti system, hidden on the dark side of the system's star, an automated device activated. It was an FTL drive with no ship attached, just the drive and a massive power source. The safety systems had been removed. The output had been increased to levels that would tear a normal ship apart. The drive engaged. The star screamed. Space-time twisted and buckled around Tau Ceti. The star, stable for billions of years, suddenly became unstable. Its fusion processes accelerated beyond control. The core temperature spiked. The alien fleet barely had time to realize something was wrong before the star exploded. The supernova expanded at a significant fraction of light speed. It caught 90,000 alien ships before they could jump away. They simply ceased to exist, vaporized by heat and radiation beyond imagination. The surviving 10,000 ships jumped out in panic. They broadcast what had happened to the rest of the Armada. The Council commanders could not believe it. The humans had destroyed an entire star system. They had killed 90,000 ships in one attack. And they had done it to their own system. They are insane, one commander said. What species destroys its own worlds? A species fighting for survival, another replied. They are showing us they will burn everything rather than surrender. The Armada hesitated. The commanders argued about whether to continue. Finally, they decided to pursue. But now they moved carefully, watching every system for signs of another trap. Captain Daeho's fleet led them on a chase through human space. Every few days, another system would explode. The humans were destroying their own colonies to kill the enemy. The Armada's numbers dropped. With each attack, 100,000 dead at Tau Ceti, 50,000 at Barnard's Star, 30,000 at Wolf 359. The alien commanders realized they were not chasing a defeated enemy. They were being led into a slaughter. Every system was a potential death trap. The humans would destroy everything rather than let the Council win. After losing 200,000 ships to artificial supernova, the Armada stopped. The commanders gathered for an emergency meeting. The conversation was heated. We have already lost more ships than we can afford, one argued. And we have not even found Earth yet. They could have evacuated everyone and seeded every system with these novel weapons. If we continue, we could lose the entire armada. If we retreat, we look weak. Finally, they made their decision. The armada would withdraw. Not permanently, they told themselves. Just a strategic retreat to regroup and develop countermeasures. But everyone knew the truth. The humans had won. 2 years had passed since the Grand Armada retreated. 2 years of quiet tension across the galaxy. The Galactic Council still existed, but its authority had crumbled. Member species that once followed every order now made their own decisions. Nobody wanted to be the next to face humanity in the darkness between stars. The human generation ships drifted silently. Millions of people lived on these massive vessels, entire cities floating through the void. Children had been born during the journey. They had never seen a planet. Only knew life aboard the ships. Ambassador Kyung Min broadcast from one of these ships, sending her message toward the Galactic Council on tight beam transmission. She looked older now, more tired, but her voice remained strong. Representatives of the Council, I speak to you one final time. For 2 years, humanity has lived in exile. We have drifted through the darkness, our children growing up without homes, our people dreaming of worlds we can no longer touch. But we have survived. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. You sent 5 fleets against us. 5 fleets that were supposed to exterminate humanity. Where are they now? The first assault fleet was destroyed at Proxima. The combined fleet died of plague and battle at New Sol. The Grand Armada lost 200,000 ships before retreating. You thought we were weak. You learned differently. We offer you terms. Simple terms. Humanity will not expand into council space. We will settle in regions far from your borders. We ask only that you recognize our right to exist, our sovereignty over the worlds we have claimed. In return, we will cease hostilities. No more wars. No more death. But know this. If you refuse, if you send more fleets, we will fight again. And next time, we will not stop at defending ourselves. We will come for your worlds. We will bring the war to every council species. We have shown you what we can do when defending our homes. Do you want to learn what we can do when attacking yours? The message ended. Kyung Min sat back in her chair and closed her eyes. She had done everything she could. Now humanity's fate rested in the hands of aliens who had tried to kill them all. On the council station, the representatives gathered to discuss Kyung Min's message. The debate lasted for 3 days. Some wanted to continue the war. They argued that accepting human terms would destroy the council's credibility forever. Others were more practical. The Hephrani representative showed detailed casualty reports. We have lost over 300,000 ships, billions of personnel. Entire economies have been disrupted to fund this war. And for what? The humans still live. They are scattered, yes, but they are rebuilding. If we attack again, how many more will we lose? The Dolvex matriarch spoke last. I have lived 300 years. I have seen many wars. This is the first time I have seen a species fight the way humans fight. They do not fight for honor or glory. They fight to survive, and that makes them more dangerous than any enemy we have faced. What are you saying? Someone asked. I am saying we accept their terms. We let them have their distant worlds. We leave them alone. Because if we do not, they will destroy us. Not quickly, not easily, but eventually. Humans do not stop. They do not surrender. They will keep fighting until they win or until everyone is dead. The vote was taken. By a narrow margin, the Council accepted humanity's terms. General Jiwoo received the news in Earth's command center. He read the council's message 3 times to be certain he understood correctly. Then he stood and walked to the window, looking up at the sky. "It is over," he said quietly. His aide joined him at the window. "What now, General?" "Now we go home. We bring our people back from the darkness. We rebuild what was destroyed. We remember what we lost. And if the council changes its mind," Ji Wu turned to look at the younger officer, "then we will be ready. We will always be ready. That is the price of survival. We can never be weak again. We can never let our guard down. The galaxy knows what we are now." Across human space, the evacuation ran in reverse. Generation ships began the long journey back to human worlds. On Mars, on Proxima, on New Sol, and a dozen other colonies, people started rebuilding. The cities had been abandoned for 2 years. Plants grew wild in the streets. Systems had failed, but humans were good at fixing things. Captain Dai-Ho, now Admiral Dai-Ho, stood on the bridge of the new flagship Defiant. It was larger and more powerful than the old Indomitable, which had been destroyed in the final battles with the Armada. Around him, his crew worked efficiently, monitoring the frontier. "Admiral, we have established the Outer Rim Defense Fleet," Lieutenant Hana reported. She had been promoted to commander after showing exceptional skill in battle. 40 stations, 200 patrol ships. "If anyone crosses into our space without permission, we will know immediately." "Good," Dai-Ho said. "Make sure every ship understands the rules of engagement. No warnings. No second chances. Anyone who threatens us dies. The Council needs to understand that the peace we offered comes with a cost. They leave us alone, or they face consequences." On Mars, Private Sung-jae was no longer a private. He was Sergeant Sung-jae now, training new recruits in the art of combat. The young men and women who joined the military were different from his generation. They had grown up during the war. They had seen the evacuation, the battles, the sacrifices. "Why do we train so hard?" one recruit asked. "The war is over. We have peace." Sung-jae looked at the young man. "We have peace because we won the war. We won because we were better fighters, better tacticians, and more determined than the enemy. If we become soft, if we forget how to fight, someone will try to take advantage. And then we will have to learn these lessons again, paid for with blood." He gestured to a memorial wall covered with names. "Every person on this wall died, so you could stand here and ask me that question. Do not dishonor their sacrifice by being unprepared." The recruit nodded, understanding far across the galaxy. On a world humanity had never heard of, an alien species held a council of war. They were the Kresh, a powerful empire that had been watching the events unfold. They saw how the Galactic Council had failed to defeat humanity. They saw opportunity. "The humans are weak now," one general argued. "They spent everything defending themselves. They destroyed their own systems. If we strike quickly, we can claim their worlds before they recover." An old Kresh warrior, covered in scars from 100 battles, stood to speak. The room fell silent. Everyone knew his reputation. "I was there," the old warrior said. "I was an observer with the Valkyrie fleet at Proxima. I saw what the humans did." He activated a holographic display showing the battle. Ships exploding. The Valkyrie fleet in retreat. Human vessels fighting with precision and fury. "This recording does not show you the truth," he continued. "It does not show you the look in human eyes when they fight. It does not show you how they refuse to quit even when the odds were impossible. I have fought many species. I have conquered many worlds. But I have never seen anything like humans in combat." He turned to face the War Council. The Valkyrie thought they were weak. The Council thought they were weak. Everyone who fought them thought victory would be easy. Where are those fleets now? Destroyed, scattered, defeated. I received a message from the last survivor of the Valkyrie First Assault Fleet. He is an old soldier now, retired, broken in spirit. He sent me this warning. The old warrior played a recording. A Valkyrie voice spoke in halting galactic common language. I beg you, do not make our mistake. The humans call themselves peaceful, and perhaps they are. But when humans go to war, they do not fight to win battles. They fight to ensure no one returns to threaten them again. We sent 2,000 ships. 300 returned, and most of those were crippled. We sent our best warriors. They sent them back in pieces, when they sent them back at all. They are survivors. That is what makes them dangerous. Any species can fight when they are strong. Humans fight when they are weak. They fight when they are outnumbered. They fight when they should surrender. And somehow, impossibly, they win. Leave them alone. That is my advice. Leave the humans alone and find easier prey. The recording ended. The Kresh Council sat in silence. Finally, someone spoke. What if we need those worlds the humans occupy? What if we cannot avoid conflict? The old warrior looked at the speaker with tired eyes. Then make peace with your gods, because you are going to die. The humans have shown the galaxy what they are. They are not the strongest species. They are not the most advanced. But they are the most dangerous, because they will never stop fighting. The Kresh Council voted. The result was unanimous. No contact with humanity. The decision spread across the galaxy like a ripple in water. Species after species received the same message. The Valkyrie fleet survivor sent his warning to everyone who would listen. Military academies studied the human battles as examples of asymmetric warfare and total commitment. Humanity became a legend. The species that faced extinction and refused to die. The species that destroyed their own worlds rather than surrender. The species that taught the galaxy a lesson written in blood and fire. And in human space. On worlds rebuilding from war, people lived their lives. They raised children. They planted crops. They built cities. They did all the normal things that people do in times of peace. But they remembered. They remembered the cost of that peace. They remembered the ships that never came home.